Good day. It's Monday afternoon, and with being away for a few days, I haven't been deadheading this rose, and it needs it. It desperately needed it. There was also a few what do you call them, runners that weren't going to do anything, so I've taken those out as well, and hopefully this will continue growing this year and continue blooming, because by taking the dead flowers off, what you're doing is you're ensuring that the plant doesn't think, oh, we can develop seeds, and put the energy into developing seeds, because what we want flowers to be developing and growth. So yeah, I'm hoping that having done a little bit of deadheading, we'll get more growth and more flowers coming off this one. I need to tie some in a little bit, and of course from a different angle you always see a few that you haven't noticed that you should have taken off. So I'm just going to pop you down and get on and take two that I can see I should have taken off. It's Monday afternoon, and I did do quite a lot of weeding of this bed yesterday. There's a few things in there that I'm leaving. There's poppies in there that I'm leaving. There's also some dead nettle here and a little bit over there that I'm leaving in for the moment. I will take that out and pot it up. I also weeded this bed here, and these two end beds. And when I was over here, I was wondering what these were, and a whole host here. And I've realised that here we had a evening primrose last year, and this is all seedlings of evening primrose. So that's fab, yeah. I will see if anybody else wants any of these, because I don't necessarily want them here. I'm not sure yet whether this is going to be a tomato or a bean bed. We shall see. If you look over there, you can see it's quite grey today. It's spitting at the moment. I am noticing yesterday in particular, and you can still see them now, loads of ladybird larvae. One there, three there, one in there, one there, two there, one 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 there. I mean, these are absolutely covered in different ladybird larvae. Little one there, bigger one there. So I have to say these broad beans are looking better in terms of blackfly infestation. The thing with ladybirds is they love blackfly and aphids. The thing with ladybird larvae is they're absolutely voracious when it comes to aphids. So I mean, the thing is, I'm still not sure at the moment. I mean, let's look at this one here. That to me is not going to produce a crop. The only way I think we're going to get a crop is if the top starts flowering. You know, we've got a bean having formed there, bean pod having formed there and there, but again, I think unless we get flowers at the top, we're not really going to get a harvest. I think I'm just going to leave these for a few days and then see what happens. We've got our squash in the middle here, you may remember. So the squash will definitely grow better without the broad beans. I was expecting to pull out the broad beans about the second week of June, and certainly if they're not going to be producing beans for us, then I will still do that, maybe even sooner, despite having so many ladybird larvae on here. What I won't do, of course, is I won't just put them, if I do cut these down, I won't just put them into compost. I will leave them out for a good day or so that the ladybird larvae can move on to other things. And talking about other things, I've decided this afternoon, well maybe tomorrow, I'm going to take out this chard. We can see it's going to seed, and we can see that there's blackfly on there as well. Ditto coming up here. I usually leave the rhubarb for seeds for the birds, but there's so many blackfly on there that I'm going to be cutting those down today for sure. We did have a lot of ladybirds down here the other day. I can see far fewer, and I can't actually see any ladybird larvae or ladybirds on these top bits. So I will just cut these seed stalks, or flower stalks as they sort of still are. Look at the infestation, look at it. Look, there's one ladybird up there. There were quite a few there the other day. Maybe the magpies have found this one. Yeah, there's one there, look, in there. And there's one in there, one a bit further down. But yeah, so I'm going to cut these down and just leave them. I'll most probably put them on the bed over there for a day or so. But as you can most probably see, I've got those flowers and plants and things still there from the gate sale. I've got these over here still here from the gate sale. Things on my table still there. I've just picked these up because I think we'll be able to use these in communal areas, or plant them up for next year, or put them into wildlife areas here. So yeah, my job today mainly is going to be just clearing up, because yeah, you know what I'm like with pathways and blocking things. So yeah, this is going to be my main job this afternoon, which is most probably fine because it is spitting with rain quite a bit. It's not at the moment. It was when I started filming, then it stopped, then it started, now it's stopped again. But I think it's going to be that type of afternoon. Oh, and the other thing is this cultivated blackberry, which did die back. We know it died back to here. What I've noticed down here, we have a non-cultivated blackberry growing. And the reason I can tell that, look, this is a fresh stalk from a cultivated one. There's no thorns on there. This is a cultivated blackberry, as is all of this here. No thorns. Look at this one. You can see the thorns on there, can't you? Vicious thorns. So I'm going to be cutting that out today. And in fact, look down there, you can see that one there, maybe you can see that's also got thorns on, so that's coming out. Yeah, so that's going to come out first actually, then next that's going to come down, and then I'm going to start clearing this area here. Well, when I say this area, I mean the wheelbarrow, the tubs and what's on the table, so that I have easy access. we're now an hour and a half later, and all I've actually done is got rid of a few plants to people who wanted to buy them. Cut back the blackberry that had thorns on it, cut down the rhubarb. I haven't sorted out this bed yet. I couldn't find my wheelbarrow, and then I realised we used it on Saturday for the gate sale, so actually it was with the communal wheelbarrows, so I went and rescued it. And then somebody came who I promised some squash to, so they have taken those plants. And then somebody else came who I promised some squash, a courgette and a cucumber to. So yeah, these plants largely are still here in the way, but there is a sort of benefit there, as you can see in the middle. And the person I gave some squash to has given me a red lettuce, so that's lovely. And also some geraniums, those three on the right there. So actually I'm doing pretty well, having a good afternoon, even if I'm not doing a lot of work. This Santolina will just be jumping at me in a few weeks time. It's so huge now. It's a bit like a sort of happy version of The Blob, that old film. Tomatoes, I have taken all the side shoots off them. They need a bit of a water before I go home. But what I did want to show you before I go home is, open the door, in here, cucumbers. I was gifted 3 hothouse cucumbers, and look, that one has definitely been pollinated. You can most probably see because it's growing. They're sort of a good foot high. Well, no, these are maybe 1.5 foot high. I've got 3. I need to wind that one in a bit so that it goes up that way. Yeah, I'm leaving. I mean, it's the summer, so that is open and those are open. I'm wondering if I leave the door open. Mind you, I say it's summer, of course it's not. Giving them plenty of water. Dad used to grow a lot of English cucumbers. These are like you buy in shops. So yeah, very happy with those. Nice to see flowers in the greenhouse like that, and so many flowers coming as well. Happy days. And tomorrow, hopefully, I can crack on a bit. Oh, and I don't have any sort of hangers, so I put tied a bamboo that end, tied a bamboo in that end, and I've strung them up to the bamboo, as you can see. I'm just going to tie that one in, or twist it round now. As you can see, the skies are pretty grey up there, not moving too quickly either, so when the rain is coming, it's really relatively heavy. I got caught in a shower and really got quite wet at one point. But yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is go back to my desk for an hour, which will give me an hour down here extra tomorrow. And hopefully I'll be able to get my paths clear and more stuff done then. Right, see you very soon. Bye. Good day. It's Tuesday afternoon now, and as you can see, there's not much change here. It's been a wet day today. It was raining first thing, and it's sort of continued off and on until about 3:30, 4 o'clock. It's most probably about 4:30, 5 now, something like that. And I've come down to water things in the greenhouse, as I won't be here tomorrow. I've got a Vanessa day, So I've watered things in the greenhouse, and I've decided that I'm just going to sow a few more squash seeds. We've got those uchiki curry in the broad beans, amidst the broad beans I should say, and I sort of got a feeling that they're not going to be amidst the broad beans that much longer. Anyway, that's for another day. Many of the jobs I was hoping to crack on with today that I didn't crack on with yesterday, I also haven't cracked on with today, but hey ho, hey ho. If you've been watching us for quite a while, in fact quite a while, you may remember we tried hybridizing a cross between an uchiki curry squash and a crown prince squash. I can't remember what year it was. I sort of feel it was 2019, 2020, 21, something like that. But over successive seasons, various people took on seeds to grow, and there was it was a sort of collaboration across various different growers, which was really nice to see whether the cross that happened in one particular year would produce a fruit that was both edible and possibly had a resemblance to the red curry squash and the crown prince that we had originally. And seeds were posted out to various people, and one of those was Jay of Hilltop Farm. And Jay sent me, he did I think more years than any other, I think including us, and he sent me some seeds a couple of years ago from, I think it was the second or third generation of growing of that squash that he had. And whilst it was sort of a bit like the crown prince, it seemed I think a little bit greyer and a little bit pinker. And I decided this year, even though it's late in May, I mean, you know, it's almost the end of May, that I'm going to sow some of the seeds that he sent me. I'm going to sow 10, and I've done modules here to put them in, just like I did with the squash and the cucumbers and the courgettes quite a few weeks ago. Now, what I'm hoping is that if I keep them in the poly, the germination may get away sort of quite swiftly. Fingers crossed they germinate. And then with the weather that we are due, things will start growing quite well, and then I can put them out maybe by the 3rd week of June. Maybe the 4th week, maybe the 3rd week. And I think I might also direct sow some if we take the broad beans, or cut the broad beans down, because I won't take them out, I'll cut them down. I'll explain why I do that, if we do that, when I do that. So yeah, we're going to sow these, or I'm going to sow these today, and we'll see how they do. It's one of my highly scientific experiments. Haven't done one for a very long time. Yeah, they're neither highbrow nor scientific in any way, and are just a bit of fun. But yes, they're one of my favourite things to do, a highly scientific experiment. So I'm just going to pop these into modules now, and then we will see how they do in the coming weeks. What I'm obviously hoping for is that we have what is called an Indian summer, which extends our growing period at the back end of our season. So hopefully the weather will be fine back into the end of October, that because these have been sown a bit late, they'll have time to mature. Who knows? We can never count on the weather. I was sure this week I was going to be able to get on and do various things, but yeah, so far it's just been raining. There we are. Anyway, fingers, compost, seeds, doing that. Going down a couple of centimeters, and then more compost on top. pressing them down. Level out our compost. Our bench here is a little off level, and I've got some things that hold it sort of level at the back, but I haven't got them at the front, so there we are. That'll do for now, and we will see how these little beauties do in the weeks and months to come. Hopefully they will germinate, hopefully they will do well. Fingers crossed. See you again very soon. Bye. Good day. It's Saturday morning and I've decided to cut my losses on these broad beans and cut them down to the ground. I'm not really able to weed properly. They have been infested by Blackfly for ages. There are hundreds of ladybird larvae on there. But actually what I'm doing is I'm just making a perfect feeding station for ladybird larvae. I just don't think these are going to come to anything as they are at the moment. So what I've decided to do is to cut them down. If they regrow, then that's great. If they don't, then that's fine. I've noticed that one of my squash in here, not sure if you can see it, has died. I think that's because of poor air circulation under here. Yeah, so I'm now going to cut the rest of these back. But if we go over, I mean, you can see here how many, look, this is what happens. The larvae sort of come here and then they change into ladybirds. We've got so many larvae on here. And I'm not going to put these into the compost bin at the moment. They're going to go into, or onto rather, a bed over there, or the bed over there, with those two poppies in it that I weeded yesterday. In fact, I did a huge amount of weeding on Friday. I weeded this bed here. I mean, it wasn't too bad, though it did have some bindweed in it, which I got out. I'm going to put some of the broad beans here because I'm noticing that there's, oh, not sure what that was, Blackfly coming on the cardoons. So I thought if I move some of the if I put some of the cut broad beans down here, then the larvae can migrate. I mean, you can see that there's already ladybirds in there, a few, but we need more. I mean, there's one ladybird larvae, can you see that? I'm not sure if that's focusing, but you can see one there, one over there. There are a few on here, but more. So yes, basically I'm moving their home, and then I'll need to get in there and really weed. Right, first of all, carry on cutting them back. After 40 minutes of weeding, we can now see the squash, which aren't looking great. Certainly not as good as when they went in. I've left some poppies in there and also a few calendula. I sowed those cheeky prints earlier in the week, so hopefully they can go in there. But I've given it a really good weed, and you can see, can you see over there? There's still a good weed to be done. But you can see some of the cutback broad beans. If they regrow, that would be good, but I really want the squash to get away in this bed now. Up here, that noise, we've got some calendula, but we've also got some mirabilis here. Oh, there's a weed there, I'll take that out tomorrow. This is mirabilis in here, which I'll put into another bed, as well as some of the calendula. And then I'll just let the ladybird larvae sort of get on with things. I was apologising to them constantly for turfing them out of their home, but hopefully they'll be able to find another place to eat and also to transform into ladybirds. I mean, having weeded this, they've got so little to feed on. Hopefully they'll get onto the squash, which have aphids, and feed on them. Fingers crossed. I have to say though, wherever I look on this plot, there's hundreds, well, tens of ladybird larvae, but I've most probably asked about 1,000 ladybird larvae to be rehomed, or to rehome themselves just from these two beds. And I'm not sure if you can see, but I have put broad beans, some of those broad beans I took out, over there next to the cardoon. I was speaking to somebody about a flower we've got on one of our courgettes. You can see this one was actually open a short while ago, and that is a female flower. Here, this without the bulbous bit behind it, not sure if you can see that, is the male flower. And we need a male and a female to be open at the same time. There's a male there, and this is a female here with the bulbous bit behind it. Yeah, we need them to be open at the same time to cross-pollinate, so I don't think we'll get this one going to fruition unless it's been pollinated from elsewhere. Oh, look, lovely, 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 lovely. Bye bye broad beans. Such a shame to have cut them down, but I think that is the right thing to do. In fact, I'm sure that's the right thing to do. If they re-sprout and grow and we get a harvest, then that would be great. I think most of them will most probably, I don't know, will they grow? I don't know. I'll keep an eye on them, because as I say, with no harvest from those broad beans, the priority has to be on squash in that bed now. There are a few further squash from our gate sale still left. I've got one left of my own, so that's going to go in next week. But yeah, you know, that's the thing, you know, I said earlier in the year that I was feeling sort of pretty good about where I was, you know, and felt prepared for the year. But of course, you never know what the year is going to throw at you. And in hindsight, maybe as soon as I saw those aphids on the broad beans, I should have given them a spray of soapy water, because that may have got rid of them. You don't want to do that when you've got ladybirds, because it'll also kill the ladybird. So, you know, that's why I didn't want to do that. I don't know. we always have challenges, don't we? We always have challenges year on year, and I'm pleased to have got that garlic harvest done a few weeks ago because it was the right thing to do. Other people near me are taking their garlic out and finding they have more white rot than I do. I think partly because of the heavy rains that we had last week or the week before. Brassicas being eaten by, pecked by birds, pigeons most likely, which is something we don't normally have at this time of year here. So if I'm going to, I might call it quits on the brassicas that I have put in and sow more turnips or beetroot or something else, and then sow some in a month or so's time to overwinter. I think I'll do that. Yeah, it's a, however well prepared you are for the growing year, those challenges still come. Yeah, and you ride them out or you give up. I mean, it's as simple as that. You know, we can all whinge about things, but actually there are two options. You carry on whinging about them. Well, three options. You carry on whinging about them, you stop whinging about them because you can't do anything about the situation anyway, like, you know, Israel bombing Gaza, that type of thing. And then the other thing is that you actually decide not to whinge and make some changes on what you do. And I think as gardeners and growers, that is what we normally do. We think, how can we do this, cut our losses, change to do something else. So yeah, that's where I'm going to be, I think, in the coming weeks, cutting a few losses and going for other things, and hoping that we get plenty of male and female flowers on our cucumbers, which are doing well, and our courgettes. Yeah, the squash I hope will pick up now that they've got more light and more air flowing through them. I'll also tomorrow give them a feed. Of course, the tomatoes need to go in, and I think I'll do that tomorrow. Then in next week's A Week at the Plot, we'll do a bit of time traveling back to what I do tomorrow. So there's a whole host of time traveling in what I've just said. Anyway, whatever challenges you are finding in your garden, your growing space, or your allotment, I hope you are deciding to either get on top of them or change tack and do something else and cut your losses. And if you've got any comments, any questions, any suggestions, please do leave them down below as usual. And if you're on Planet Vegetaria, I'll see you through next week for segments as they happen down here. And if you watch on YouTube, I will see you in a week's time for another full upload. And I think we might be changing the way that I do A Week at the Plot. More on that maybe next week. See you very soon. Bye. And happy growing.